The incessant buzz of Mark's phone shattered the silence of the night, jolting him awake from a fitful slumber. Rubbing the sleep from his eyes, he fumbled for his phone, his heart pounding with apprehension as he glanced at the screen. What he saw sent a cold shiver down his spine. A series of photos, each more horrifying than the last, stared back at him from the glowing screen. They depicted him, bound and bloodied, in various stages of torture that he had no memory of. In one, he lay sprawled on the cold concrete floor, his wrists chained to the walls, while in another, his body was covered in gruesome lacerations, the crimson blood staining his pale skin. Dread coiled in the pit of his stomach as he scrolled through the images, his mind reeling with disbelief and horror. How had these photos come to be? And who was behind this twisted torment? Frantic, Mark searched his memory for any recollection of the events depicted in the photos, but there was nothing, only a blank void where his memories should have been. Panic surged through him as he realized that he had no explanation for what was happening to him. With trembling hands, he dialed the police, his voice shaking as he recounted the chilling discovery on his phone. But as he spoke, a creeping sense of dread washed over him, a nagging suspicion that he was being watched, that every move he made was being observed by unseen eyes. Hours passed in a blur of terror and uncertainty as Mark waited for the authorities to arrive, each passing moment stretching into eternity. The weight of the unknown pressed down on him like a suffocating blanket, threatening to engulf him in its icy embrace. Finally, the sound of approaching sirens shattered the stillness of the night, filling Mark with a flicker of hope. But as the police swarmed into his apartment, their expressions grim and determined, Mark's heart sank like a stone. He knew, deep down, that they would find nothing, no evidence, no explanation, only the haunting specter of his own shattered sanity. As the hours turned into days, Mark became consumed by paranoia, his every waking moment haunted by the chilling images that had been seared into his mind. Sleep became an elusive luxury, his dreams plagued by nightmares of unspeakable horror, each one more vivid and terrifying than the last. And then, just when he thought he couldn't bear the torment any longer, the messages began again, a relentless onslaught of photos and videos, each one more gruesome than the last. They flooded his phone with their sickening imagery, taunting him with their twisted mockery. Desperate for answers, Mark delved into the depths of his own psyche, searching for any clue that might explain the nightmare that had consumed his life. But the more he searched, the more elusive the truth became, slipping through his fingers like grains of sand. And then, one fateful night, as Mark lay huddled in the darkness of his apartment, the truth revealed itself in a sudden, horrifying revelation. With a sickening sense of dread, Mark realized that the photos were not of him, they were of someone else entirely. Someone who bore an uncanny resemblance to him, down to the smallest detail. Someone who had been living in the shadows, watching and waiting for the perfect moment to strike. As the pieces of the puzzle fell into place, Mark's blood ran cold with realization. He was not the victim in this twisted game, he was the pawn, a pawn in the hands of a deranged mastermind who had been pulling the strings all along. With a sinking feeling in the pit of his stomach, Mark understood that he was not safe, that no matter how far he ran, he would never escape the clutches of his tormentor. For the true horror lay not in the images themselves, but in the knowledge that the nightmare was far from over, and that it was only just beginning.